Okay, so we're going to be doing Lab 8, which is our VPN scaling lab. And so starting off, here we have VMX1, VMX2 open on the screen. And the first thing we need to do is we need to load our baseline, VPN baseline config. So let's get in and do that. Do configuration mode, and we're going to do a load override. Okay, let's get rid of that. Load override, there's our VPN baseline, that's what we want. Commit that. Let's do the same down here. This time I want to change that to VMX2, which is the one I want. Okay, so we loaded that and we'll commit that one. So what we want to do is going to check for basic functionality in this that we've got our baseline set up. Once we do that, we are going to set up our iBGP peering to peer with a route reflector. So currently our peering is between our two PEs. Let's just do a quick check of our BGP at the moment. Let's see where we're at. Okay, so there we have. We've got a BGP established. If we do the same here on our other device, so you can see that our peering is between our two PE devices, 192.168, 1.2 and 192.168, 1.1. So that's going between the loopbacks of our two PE devices, and there's our BGP session up. You'll notice that we are sending inet.0 information, but also BGP layer 3 VPN routing information as well. So this is required to send those VPN routes. Okay, those layer 3 VPN routes. Okay, so there we are. We've got that set up. That's looking pretty good. What else do we need to check here? Let's just go and take a look at our routing instance configuration. And we'll go a show routing instance. And we're interested in CE 1-1. So there we are. That's our config for our routing instance. It's a virtual router. It's our CE router. We've got an interface associated with that, a loopback address, and some static routes, and an autonomous system number, 65101. Go and take a look at the other device. Do the same thing. Same setup. And you'll notice that we have got the same autonomous system number, okay, which is usual. You would expect that for customer VPNs, because the customers will be part of the same autonomous system. Both of the customer sites will usually belong to the same autonomous system. I mean, it's possible that they could be different, but usually they'll be the same. Alrighty, so that's our kind of our base setup. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and change our BGP peering to peer with a route reflector. So let's go and do that. Header protocols BGP. We want to go into our internal group. So we'll do that one. There we are. So we're in there. Let's take a look at what we have currently got. So here's our local loopback address of our PE, and there's the loopback address of the other PE at the other end. So that's what we're going to change. We're going to change this neighbor, and that neighbor address is going to change to the address of our route reflector. And according to the lab, that is 192.168.5.2. So let's change that, and then let's take a look at exactly what that looks like in our lab diagram. So basically, let's take a look at that lab diagram there actually before we get into this. Let's drag that across onto the screen there. There we go. So here we are, 192.168.5.2. It's P2. P2 is our route reflector. Okay, so we're going to be peering, instead of peering from PE1 to PE2, we're going to change the peering of both PE1 and PE2 to peer with this route reflector right in the middle here, which is P2. They're just looking at this configuration of our VR device here. We haven't really talked too much about it, but the way that this works is that each one of these P's, P1, P2, etc., are functioning as a completely separate and independent router. So even though they are configured within a single router, an MX device, they actually function as completely separate and independent routers, kind of like virtual machines within a router, and they in fact are referred to as logical systems. So we're going to peer with this route reflector, and what I'd like to do once we get our peering set up, I'd like to actually go in to our VR device. Let's take a look at this P2. Let's take a look at the configuration of P2, and because that's kind of interesting, that we just want to see the route reflector config that's there on P2. So we'll do this. We'll change our peering first, and then we'll get in and do that. Alright, so what we want to do is we're going to rename the neighbor. And we're going to rename our neighbor from 192.168.1.1, actually 1.2, sorry, 1.2, which is our current neighbor, and we're going to make that 192.168.5.2 to 192.168.5.2, which is the P2 logical system. It's really it just acts like a complete separate router. So it's the P2. It's a P router. Sorry, P router number 2. Then our provider call. So there we are. I'm going to change that, and we'll commit that. And we'll go and do the same on the other device. So there's our current config, current neighbor being the other PE. We'll rename that. Oops. Rename. No, right here. Get the typing right. Good. Okay, so I'm going to rename the neighbor, which is currently 192.168.1.1 to neighbor 192.168.5.2. Let's take a look at that. Yep, that looks good. Commit that. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is let's take a look at our BGP session. See how that's looking. There we are, it's established. We're supporting the INET 0 and BGP layer 3 VPNs as well. You should find the same down on our other device. Oh, that's connected, so it hasn't established yet. I assume that it will at some point. 192.168.5.2 should come up soon. It's not in a hurry, is it? You'll get there. BGP it's not particularly fast. It is reliable, but not particularly fast. Okay, so let's take a look at our neighbor here. So I'm going to show BGP. Look at our neighbor, and our neighbor is 192.168.5.2. So what can we see in this neighbor output? Lots of stuff, but what are we particularly interested in? What I wanted to take a look at is here this network layer reachability information advertised by the peer INET unicast, which we've got set up on our PE device, INET VPN unicast, which you've also got set up on our PE device, but then there's this extra one, which is route target. So this route reflector is capable of doing route target filtering. So it's got this extra network layer reachability information set up on it. So that's kind of what we're interested in there. So let's see if this one's come up here. Yep, there we go. Just took a little time, okay? So what I wanted to do, now that we've paired with this route reflector, what I wanted to do is just go and actually take a look at the configuration that we've got on our route reflector. So I just wanted to bring this across onto the screen right now, which is, I've actually logged in, let's get back to there, I've actually logged into this VR device. There it is right there, I've sort of logged into it. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go and take a look at the configuration, or actually in specifically the BGP configuration of P2. So the way I can do that is, because I actually have to go into like another total another router, I've got a set CLI logical system, and then I get the choice there. I get the choices of all 6 of them, so I'm going to go to P2, which is the one I'm interested in. So there we are now. We're now inside P2. So this is like a totally separate, as I said, totally separate route. Let's check it out. Let's go into configuration mode, edit protocols, BGP, and let's take a look at what we've got going on here. So this is actually inside our P2 now, and you can see that we have got our BGP, we've got INET, family INET set up there, we've got our VPN, we've got this extra family configured on there as well, this route target family set up. Then we've got this other group set up, which is RR-Pod A internal, and you'll notice the cluster config there. Okay, that cluster config makes this particular router a route reflector. Okay, and you see the neighbors. These are these are referred to as the route reflector clients. And what are they? They are in fact our 2 PE devices, aren't they? So there's our neighbors. Okay, now so basically what we're saying is that this device here, this P2, is already being configured as a route reflector for us. So we don't have to do that. It's already set up for us. But I just wanted to show you that because it kind of doesn't make sense unless you see that, unless you understand that this P2 is actually set up as a route reflector, and we are simply peering with this route reflector. All right, all good. So just exit out of that. So we're kind of done with that. We don't really need to see that anymore. I'll just shut that one down. Okay. So there we are. So we're now pairing with this route reflector. So what we understand about a route reflector then is that any routes advertised by the clients to the route reflector will be re-advertised by the route reflector. Okay, so really PE1 is advertising routes to the route reflector, is re-advertising those routes down to PE2. But the beauty of the route reflector is we could have 10 clients, we could have 20 clients on it, and it would re-advertise the routes to all of those, which is really the point of it. That's why we have it. Alrighty. So moving right along. So we've got our peering set up there with our route reflector. That's all good. Our next task is we want to set up LDP signal LSPs between our PEs and our route reflector. So we're really going to just go ahead and set this up on all of our interfaces. And LDP, so easy to configure. You simply include your interfaces in the protocol and away it goes. So let's just do that. What have we got there? Nothing at the moment. So we're going to set our interfaces and all our interfaces. But we don't want our management interface to be included, so we will disable that one, which is FXP0. So we can disable that. Okay, let's take a look at what we've done. So there we are. We have got all of our interfaces included except for our management interface, FXP0. So we'll go ahead and commit that. And let's do the same on the other device. Data protocols. Yikes. Data protocols LDP. Interfaces all. Interface FXP0. Disable. Let's take a look at that. Yep, that's what we want. Commit that. Alright, so let's take a look at what that has achieved as far as LDP has gone. What I want to do is show LDP neighbor. There we are. So obviously P1, P4 and P3 and P6 are already configured with LDP. That's why we can establish neighbor relationships with those devices. So there we are. And if we can take a look and see what sessions we have got up, we have got those sessions up. There we are, LDP sessions. And the other thing that if we go and look at our inet.3 routing table, we should see that we have got a route right through to the other PE. So let's do that. We'll do a show route table. inet.3, and there it is. There's our LDP route. Going right through to the other PE 192.168.1.2 with a route preference of 9. So there it is, all good. So if you do the same down on the other, show sessions, there's our sessions, and we'll do the show route table. And we have got a route, there it is, going right through to the other PE. So far so good. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so that's really created, so as you probably may recall, hopefully, LDP creates a full mesh of LDPs between all of the routers on all of their links. And then the LSPs from one point to another simply follow the IGP best path selection. So we don't do traffic engineering, but it's a really simple way of setting up label switch paths between our devices. Okay, as I said earlier, this does not prevent us at all from using RSVP signaled LSPs for our VPNs, because they will be more preferred because the RSVP has a lower preference number than LDP. All right. Okay, so we have got all that up and running. That's all good. What we're going to do now is we're going to set up some interfaces, and then we're going to associate. We're going to set up another interface, GE009, and then we are going to associate that with a brand new CE instance. So we've already got one instance set up, and we have got GE008 associated with CE1-1. We're going to set up a brand new instance, CE1-3, and we're going to associate interface GE009 with that new CE. So step one, let's go ahead and we'll set up the interface, and step two, we'll create the routing instance, and we'll add that interface into it. Okay, so let's get that happening. Edit interfaces. Actually, we're putting two interfaces in this routing instance. We're putting a loopback interface, and we are putting a physical interface, GE009. Loopbacks. We'll do the loopback first. Get that set up. So we are going to set our LO0, and we're going to really configure a new unit here, just another logical unit on this, which is unit 2, and our goal is to put an IP address on it, IPv4 address on it, and it is going to be, just looking at our lab diagram, 192.168.21.1. 192.168.21.1. It is a /32. You don't have to actually put the /32. If you don't put anything, it will just default to /32. So there it is there. If you just take a look at that. Let's go down to, here it is, unit 2. You can see it's put the /32 there by default. Alrighty, what we want to do is set GE009. We're going to be using VLAN tagging. Unit is going to be 611 for this one. And VLAN ID of 611. Okay. We're also going to put an address on it, so we might as well just keep going and do this while we're at it. Family INET, and address is going to be 10.1. Let's check our lab diagram. 10.1.10.2. 10.1.10.2. That's right. Yep. That's a /24. Okay, looks good. So there's our interface. You can have a quick look at that. There we are. That's what we've created. Looks fine. Alright, so next job is we're going to go and create our new routing instance, and then we'll add our interfaces into that routing instance. So we need to go to top, edit, routing instance, and our instance name is going to be CE1-3. There it is, CE1-3. So there we are. Type of instance, virtual router. Instance type, virtual router. There it goes. And let's add in our interfaces now. So which ones do we want? We want GE009.611, which is our unit number. All good. The other one we want is our loopback. So we'll add L0.2, so unit number 2. Let's take a look at that. There we are. So there's our new instance. It is a virtual router. We've got our two interfaces in there. Next thing we want to do with this instance is we want to set up the autonomous system number for it. So let's go ahead and do that. So that is under the routing options hierarchy of our routing instance. So we'll do that right from here. Set routing options and autonomous system number. Let's look at our lab diagram. It's going to be 65102. Okay, so there we've got an autonomous system number set up, and now we want to create some static routes because we want to advertise these static routes to our other PE device. So what we want to see is these routes being re-advertised by our route reflector. So we're going to create these routes. Now, we've already got another routing instance set up, which is CE1-1, which already has got static routes. Okay, so what we wanted to do here is wanted to have two sites, really. Two sites now will be associated with our PEs, and we're going to be advertising routes from two different sites, and we're just going to see how the route target filtering works when we've got these two different sites going. So let's set up these static routes here. Set routing options, static route. So looking at our lab diagram, it's 172.11.0 through to .3. So we're going to set up 4 static routes here. So we'll start with the first one. .0, and I could put .0.0 there. It wouldn't make any difference. I could do that, or I could just do that. both will work. Slash 24, and we're going to reject. There's no next hop, so next hop is reject. Really, there's no network where this is going. We just need to advertise the route. So the next hop is reject. So we go and create the other three. It's going to be a 1. It's a 2. And this will be a 3. Okay, so let's commit that and we'll take a look at that. So we want to take a look at our route table now. So the route table of our routing instance, which is going to be CE, this is 1-3. So we want to look at, there it is there. So that's what we expect to see. We expect to see our interfaces, which is, oops, come back. Our interfaces, which is those there, GE 009, and we also expect to see our static routes that we've set up, and that's them there, and we should have a loopback interface down there as well. So there we are. It's all looking good. So that's our routing table for our CE. That's good. So that's that CE is set up. Okay, so what we want to do, we want to go and do the same thing over on the other device. So we'll get this happening. So we're going to create a couple of new interfaces, or configure a couple of new interfaces here. Set loopback unit 2, and what address will this one be? This is going to be 192.168.21.2. Just looking at, so what I'm looking at is CEX4 on the lab diagram, because this will be the loopback for that that CE device there. So it is 192.168.21.2 /32, and now GE009. So we're sticking with the same VLAN tagging and unit number. Unit is 611. 611. Oops. VLAN ID is 611. Then IP address. The IP address, looking at the lab diagram, is 10.1.11.2. That's a /24. Okay, let's check that. Okay, there's our GE009, and we still got a loopback unit 2 down there. There we are. Okay. Alright, that's looking good. Next job, we want to go and create our new CE instance. And we're going to call this one CE1-4. Okay, so let's give it an instance type. Which is virtual router. Let's add some interfaces. We need to add the loopback. Unit 2. We need to add GE00. Put the dash in there. Fine. The unit is 611. All good. We need to configure the autonomous system. And the autonomous system number is 65102, same as the other side. 65102. All good, and we need to set up some static routes as well, so let's do that. Oops, don't need that. Options. So writing options, static, yeah, static route. So these static routes are going to be 172.11.4 through to .7. And there are /24. /24 and reject. Okay. So let's go and create the other 3. Oops, got that one. And we need to go 5 and 6 and 7. Alright, let's take a look at that. So we've got our routing instance. It is a virtual router. There's our 2 interfaces. We have got our static routes set up, 11.4, 5, 6 and 7, and there's our autonomous system set up as well. Okay, so that's all good. Let's commit that and take a look at the routing table. Show route table, and we're interested in CE1-4. So what have we got? There's our directly connected interfaces, GB009. There's our static routes 4, 5, 6, and 7, and our loopback. So that's looking good. Okay, so that's great. So there's our CE set up. Our next job that we want to do now is we want to get in and set up our VRF tables so that we can configure our layer 3 VPNs. So so we're going to configure the interfaces in our VRF tables that will connect into our CE routers, and then we should be able to see some connectivity between those 2 devices, and then the next thing we'll do is we'll get in there and set up actually our VRF table. So let's just get our interfaces configured to begin with for connectivity between the PE and the CE, and then we can get our routing sorted after that. So let's do a look at, we're going to be using GE004. Let's take a look at what we've got so far and we'll go from there. So we're interested in, so we haven't got GE004 configured at all. So we're going to set that up, and that's going to be the interfaces that will connect from our PEs down to our CE routers. So we'll go ahead and get that configured right now. VLAN tagging, unit number is going to be 610. VLAN VLAN ID is 610, and we need an IP address on that, family INET, and the address is going to be so 610 is associated with our CE1-1. So we need to configure, just looking at the lab diagram, we need to configure 10.0.10.1 on that. 10.0.10.1 is the PE side of that connection. That's a /24. Alrighty. So that's that unit, and what we also need to do is we're going to go and configure GE005, and that's going to be the interface associated with the other CE. So let's do that. VLAN tagging, and unit number, in this case it is 611. If you look at the lab diagram, we'll see that that was the VLAN that we set up with CE 1-3. So 11 VLAN ID. Yeah, keep doing that. VLAN ID 611. IP address. So the address that we need to put on the PE end is 10.1.10.1. Just checking that lab diagram. 10.1.10.1. That's a /24. Sorry. Okay, so that's that set up. Alright, let's take a look at that. So there's our G004 VLAN tagging, unit 610, VLAN 610, address 10.0.10.1, and look at 5. VLAN tagging, unit 611, VLAN 611, address 10.1.10.1. Okay, that looks okay, that looks good. So we'll commit that. Alrighty, so what we'll do, we'll go ahead and set up the other device, get its interface set up. We'll check connectivity between our P's and our C's. And then we'll take a break, and when we come back from the break, we'll get in there and we'll set up our VPNs between these two CEs. So we need to have a couple of VPNs which we'll set up between these two customers. And we'll verify that those VPNs are up and running. And then we'll take a look at how our routing is going, how our route reflection is going, and then we're going to do some route target filtering, and we'll take a look at how that affects the route advertisements. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and set up these interfaces on the other device. .004 VLAN tagging, unit number 610, VLAN ID 610, IP address is going to be on 004. What's that? 10.0.10.1. So what? So I can only read this lab diagram. It's not good. 10.0. What is that? 10.0.10.1. That looks right. Okay, let's do that. /24. Alrighty. Let's do the other one. GE005. Oops. VLAN tagging unit 611. VLAN ID is 611. Your IP address, and the IP address is 10.1.11.1 /24. Okay, let's just take a look at those interfaces. There's 4. Unit 610 VLAN ID 610 10.0.10.1, and the other, oops, come back, 10.1. That's interesting. Why have I got a 10 there and I've got an 11 down there? That's definitely 11. 10.1.11.1 is what it should be. So back up to this one here. And that one looks right. Yep, okay. We're going with that, aren't we? Alright. We'll check that anyway. That looks, I think that's right. Let's make sure, see if we've got connectivity. That'll tell me if it's right or not. Okay, so I'll do a test on the first one here. So we're going to be pinging 10.0 dot, what are we doing on this one? 10.0.10.2. That's looking good. So that's connectivity to CE1. Let's check connectivity to CE2. So we're going 10.1.10.2. Yep, so we have connectivity from PE1 to both CE1 and CE3. They're the ones I'm interested in. Now let's go over to the other device here, and we're interested in those addresses. 10.1. First one was, yeah, these are .11s over here, aren't they? 10.1.11. Let's have a look at it. Shadow ping 10.1.11.2. Yep, that's good. Alrighty, I might just take a look at those interfaces. Let's make sure I got that IP address right. I have a feeling I might have mucked it up. Let's have a look. So 004 10.0.10.1 was good. I'm interested in 5. 10.1.11.1. And 10.1.11.2. That looks right. Hang on, no, it's not. Let's have a look. 5 and 8. 4 and 8, the ones I'm interested in. 4 and 8. There's a problem right there. Okay, so unit 610, 4 and 8. Okay, a little bit of an addressing problem there. It looks like it looks to me like I should have made 4, maybe 10.0.11.1. Okay, so I'll sort that out. I'll sort out that addressing and make sure it's right. And then I'll do that during the break. And when we come back, we'll verify that connectivity, and then we'll get in and we'll set up our VPN. So let's take a break. We'll sort that little problem out, and then we'll get back into it.